Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be talking and reviewing House of the Dragon episode 5 from season 2, Regent. Wow. Before I get into spoilers, let's talk a little bit spoiler free about this episode. Um, I I think this was not the strongest episode, but it definitely recovered by the end of it. I think, of course, with a show like this, some of these episodes have to be a little bit slower when it comes to setting things up, and also having to put a lot of pieces into place. So this definitely felt like a transitional episode. That being said, there are some outstanding performances here. We have some really great conversations, and I think we are in for a treat for the next couple of episodes right after this, just because of everything that's going on. There's so much chaos, so much disarray that I don't like. Unless you have read the book, you really don't know where the story is going to end up going. So I'm very excited for the future of the show. Like I said, this was probably not, especially coming off such a strong episode that was episode 4. This one, it doesn't quite measure up to it, but it definitely sets up a lot of really interesting things. And like I mentioned, really great performances, specifically Olivia Cook on this one. There's one scene where the camera just kind of keeps focus. There's a lot of stuff happening around her, but the camera just stays on her, and it's really cool. Like it just kind of zooms in, and you feel the tension and the anxiety. I think she puts on a great performance there. So, yeah, really interesting stuff. So let's talk about what happened in this episode. We're gonna get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, make sure to go check it out. Come back, watch the video later. Okay, so we see that one of the central premises of this season has been that the small folk are having a tough time. Things are tough in King's Landing. You know, the blockade is not allowing for the normal amount of resources. People are starving. People have no money. People have no hope. And then things get worse as we see that Melissa's head, the dragon that died in the last episode, is being paraded through the streets now. Obviously, they want to do this as a show of power and of conquest and a one battle, but the small folk take it as an omen, as a bad omen, right? I think earlier in the season, I believe it was Missaria who said that when the kings fight, it is the small folk who really take the brunt of it. I believe it was her. I'm not really sure. You can correct me in the comments. We also see that Aegon is confirmed to be alive, but he's being snuck into the castle, right, to hide his injuries. All of these news, I don't know how much of that information has been given out to the public. I don't believe that they know of Aegon's condition, which makes a lot of sense. You probably want to keep something like that on the wraps to prevent even more stuff from happening, specifically with all the unrest and the disarray of the King's Landing. We do see the news of Rhaenys' death in the previous episode reach the council. And then this is kind of where we have a few scenes. We see the council making some preparations, once again, just being really, really tough on Rhaenyra, right? Because, and to be fair, there is definitely the big aspect of the misogyny of the council, but also Rhaenyra has not had the best of moves. You know, Daemon is off somewhere else. They've lost one of their best dragons, so like we don't know what's going on. But here we do see Jace starting to make his own moves. We'll catch up on that in a minute. We finally go back to what I like to refer to as Damon's haunted mansion. Right? He goes to the Bracken to offer them to bend the knee and join his army, or that with his dragon atop his dragon. It's always really cool to see Matt Smith in his full armor as a dragon rider. I know some of the other dragon riders, like they have special gear, but Damon, like, he has like a full on armor, right, with that really cool helmet. But the Bracken, they refuse, and that'll have consequences later on. Um, we go to the Erie, which we hadn't really seen, and catch up with Jane Eyre. Really dissatisfied with the deal, right? She's protecting Rhaenyra's kids. She's been promised a dragon. Instead, she's been sent two baby egg dragons that have hatched. But it's not the same as having like a full on dragon. So we'll see how that plays out. If you know anything about the area, is that they are a powerful force that you don't want to get on their bad side. We also catch a conversation between Rhaenyra and Mysaria, who I think Mysaria is great counsel. I really love the character. She really feels like maybe she's the only one that not only understands Rhaenyra's problems, but is actually trying to help. That I could be wrong about that. It could just be a whole performance, or she could just be in it for like maybe picking sides of who's gonna pay me the most once this is all said and done. We have a really great conversation as well with Bela and Rhaenyra. I think Bela is going to become one of the key pieces for Rhaenyra if she really wants to make sure that the throne is secured. And then we go back to Harrenhal. Just Damon running around this haunted mansion every time. Like it's very eerie. I think Harrenhal in disarray is one of the most gloomy, most tense and anxiety filled settings that they have on the show, and I really enjoy every time we go back because Damon cannot catch a break while he's there. Obviously, it was a bad idea for him to go there. So we do get an update on Aegon's health from the Grand Maester. Um, we also see that they argue about who's about to rule next, right? Most of the council obviously they don't want Allison in place because that would just be like, well, we said that a different woman was not going to rule us. Why would we name Allison to as the ruler while Aegon recuperates or whatever the case may be? So they choose Damon, or sorry, they choose Aemon to rule for now. This is where I talk about that scene where after this happens, Allison, the camera just focuses on her and it starts zooming in very slowly. But you kind of hear her breathing gets louder and louder while all the sounds from the council arguing back and forth are being drowned out. It's a really well played scene. Olivia Cook really just delivered that great performance in that scene. I really felt like something really bad was about to happen, but it was just like it is just a state of mind that she was able to put the viewers in. We also go in and check on this the blacksmith that was promised payment by Aegon. I think that's going to come into play. Specifically, if you're a reader of the books, I haven't read the books, but if you've been a reader of the books, you know kind of what's coming in. We see him. We check on his family. One of the rulings that Aemon set out was that because people are escaping and they're leaving King's Landing to try to find food or a better life or hope, he has actually closed out the gates, and that's definitely not going to end up very well. Um, we also see a conversation between Allison and Sir Cole, where she kind of calls him out on everything that he's been doing. But as Hand of the King, he kind of gives her that same argument that we cannot have a woman in power. So, yeah, their relationship definitely fractured after all this. Um, so as they close the gates of King's Landing to not allow the people to leave, we see the Smith and his family that they were trying to leave. So this is all just hinting at this character is going to become way more important in the future. They've been doing with that with a few characters, and we'll talk about why as we get closer to the end of the episode. So we also catch up with Jace, kind of doing some wheeling and dealing, promising lords. I believe it was not the Tullys. It's a different family that's kind of under the Tullys, but obviously they want Harrenhal. That's their deal. So this is kind of the promise that Jace makes if they bend the knee to Rhaenyra. So that'll be really important as the army from the north comes down to help Rhaenyra in the war. Uh, we catch up a conversation between Alice Rivers and Damon, where once again just all the bad omens for Damon. He There's a really weird scene with Damon and I believe who the actress was supposed to be his mom. That got crazy. Like I won't even go into details. Just think like it's a Game of Thrones thing that they do. They let things get crazy like this. But yeah, Alice Rivers just like she lets him know the way you're handling things is not going to work out well for you. We see that almost in the next few scenes. We do see that Corlys is also visited by Bela, who brings a message from Rhaenyra to name him the Hand. And I think this is a great gesture. I think Corliss really brings a lot, could bring a lot to the Council of Rhaenyra. Um, and I wrote down a line because I think Bela is going to step up in such a great fashion. But she tells him, Corliss wants to name Bela the heir to his his lordship and everything. And she says, "I am fire. I am blood and fire. Driftmark must pass to salt and sea." So this is hinting at some other stuff, right? We discovered in the last episode that um, Corliss may have some kids outside of the marriage with Rhaenys. So maybe that's something that's gonna be explored later in the season. Rhaenyra sends Sir Alfred to talk to Daemon in Harrenhal, so that he will not be ignored. And then meanwhile, we visit Daemon, who is awoken by the River Lords. Uh, the 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 Blackwood, as they were taking the Bracken, they went too far. They did too much awful stuff. It's painting Damon as more of a tyrant, right? There's already rumors of him having the order to kill a child, and this is not helping his reputation. So the River Lords kind of just say like, we're not gonna stand for this. So maybe all the stuff that Jace is doing in the background will actually help, because they'll institute. I gotta say, Sir Simon, who's kind of the one overseeing Harrenhal at the moment. I love that character. He's so funny. He's just like, man, I'm just trying to manage. It's like when you're not given any resources and you have like all these impossible deadlines, and he's like, I'm just trying to manage this mess, trying to get through this. I've seen all this stuff kind of come and go, so we just kind of have to weather the storm. So it's very very interesting. And then at the end, we do see Rhaenyra and Jace just trying to figure out what their next move. Right, they've lost their best dragon, their most battle hardened dragon. Uh, Rhaenyra doesn't really have a lot of fighting experience. Jace doesn't have a lot of fighting experience. None of these dragons could really take on Vagar. So, like, what is the plan? How are they going to get things done? They begin to think of like, okay, we need dragon riders. That's the plan. We're going to recruit dragon riders, and I think they're going to do it in a very unusual way. And that's why we've been really hinting at all these other characters that are kind of scattered around, including like the Smith. We saw that guy at the bar who claimed to be a Targaryen. And I'm sure there's going to be other people that are kind of either introduced or people we've already kind of met before, that might have that blood, that fire and blood running through their veins. But maybe they just haven't, taming or connecting with a dragon is it's a very dangerous task. So I can't wait to see that. I think based on the scenes for next episode, that might be something that we see next episode. So that'll be fun to explore. So yeah, I love this show. It's really great. Like I said, maybe not the highest of the episodes this time around, but I think it was still very good. As I was describing everything that was gone, I really hyped myself up for this. So yeah, highly recommend you go check it out. But if you have seen this episode, let me know, what did you think about House of the Dragon, episode 5 from season 2. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.